Majo John Madden with a longer message about peace in my life in Mexico. I made a short earlier, which I think is already posted, about one way my life has not been peaceful overnight. Here in Moctezuma, I'm in the Moctezuma Colonia, very sweet neighborhood, mostly middle class, but I like to stay in the poor person's barrio, which is right in the line of these power outlets, power towers. The good part about that is that I get a strong Wi-Fi signal at the base, not of that tower, but the next one. CFE, Consolidated Federal Electricity, something like that. Power companies, in my experience from 3 years on the road, are among the worst evildoers in America. It's not clear in Mexico. Pemex, for all it's the official state power company and gets a lot of subsidies from the state. But they have wonderful signs. This is a project to benefit all the poor of Mexico, and they do it in handwriting to make it seem folksy. Mostly what I hear from people is, no, Pemex is in it for the money and corrupt. But CFE is not Pemex. There's a power company around here in Xalapa, and I don't know about them, but they do provide a really nice public Wi-Fi, which ironically, the best way to access it is in the poor person's barrio back over there. Mexico gets such a bad rap in the United States. People in the U.S. love to think that Mexico is a dangerous country, and mostly it is not. Very few guns in Mexico. One gun shop in all of Mexico, and 52,000 gun shops in the U.S. Essentially no mass killings in Mexico aside from cartel areas. Now, the brutal behavior of cartel members gives the reputation that Mexico is so dangerous. It's pretty easy to avoid the cartel. I did not manage totally to avoid the Matamoros cartel and did run into some danger from them myself, but that's a long story. It's along the border cities, which I know quite well because I spent a year exploring how to slip into Mexico along the Rio Grande border because my plates are expired. And that's a long story. So the buses are running on Christmas Day. That's the city bus. 9 pesos. Less than 1 cent American. Bus service in Mexico is spectacular. Would that the U.S. was as dedicated to public transportation. Most of the cartel violence is just some unscrupulous men following the money, and the money is U.S. money. I'll attach a link to the wonderful podcast from Texas Public Radio. Maybe the most dangerous area in Mexico right now is what had been a very sweet agricultural area, Michoacan. An awful lot of the Mexicans in Chicago, my hometown, come from Michoacan. And now Michoacan people are fleeing like crazy because the avocado trade has drawn a lot of American money. Americans will pay most anything for those avocados. And the cartel, following the money, took over the avocado trade and ruthlessly killed people who got in their way. So I won't go to Michoacan province, state. But overall, Mexicans are incredibly peaceful, gentle people. They are allowed to own a gun legally in their home for self-defense, not to take it out of their home. And most people don't. Most places I've been, nobody has a gun in their home. They have machetes for clearing underbrush. And in a pinch, machete is a hell of a weapon. but they don't think of it that way. It's a tool of the trade. Just clearing underbrush, because mostly they can't afford weed eaters, which are so incredibly noisy. I'm more violent than the average Mexican, by far. In the little pueblo of El Diamante, 400 people, where I was for 3 months, the whole summer, with my car broken down, there was an incredibly violent dog. One of the sins of Mexico is that dogs are mostly ignored or mistreated. And in that little pueblo, there were 3 spectacular dogs who took to me because I actually touched them, which no one in that pueblo would do. But a violent dog came around. The Trojan horse dog, who acted nice, walked with us, slept under my van, but when offended became an absolute killer who would not stop attacking until someone was dead. And that could include a person, because he tried to attack me. It was a real crisis in that community, because the 3 dogs who I loved so much, Jason and Mufasa and Easy, I gave her the name Easy or Facile, were in serious danger from that dog. I was getting ready to leave, and I knew that I left with that dog around, they were in great danger. I mentioned at the dinner table around the Israeli restaurant where I hung out the possibility of killing that dog, and everybody was horrified. You don't kill people. That's the Mexican way. You do not kill people. No, you don't raise your voice to people. If you directly contradict a Mexican, that's a violent act. And I mentioned in my earlier video that I earned an enemy up in the barrio because the drunken kid who at 2 in the morning, I didn't get Santa Claus last night. I got this drunken kid banging on my car absolutely dark. I was totally asleep. He wanted a cigarette because he knows he can get cigarettes from me. I yelled, "Get away." He wouldn't get away. He kept pounding, and I screamed to get away. And he left. So I've earned an enemy, because you don't scream at somebody in Mexico, especially some punk kid. So I locked my door. I locked all my doors when I left just now. And I'll have to do that there now. But I'm going to keep parking there for the next week or so till I get my car fixed, because I've got the Wi-Fi there. And I am, for good or for ill, a creature of the internet, and posting my videos and staying up to my detriment sometimes on what's going on with Trump, because I still care about the U.S., which is such a mess. Politics in Mexico is so much more enlightened. By law, 50% of the Congress are women. The 2 leading contenders for president in this upcoming election are women. There's women's empowerment stuff going on all through Mexico. So I've had a lot of very lovely, peaceful things happen around the holiday season. Maybe 3 weeks ago, my friend Brandon, back from Appalachia, my first year of my travels after 16 years in Asheville, North Carolina. Brandon had gotten in the middle of a desperately terrible misunderstanding between me and her close friend, and she took sides with her friend and wrote me off and spread ridiculous slander about me having multiple charges for sexual battery against me. It's totally absurd. But I've been reaching out to people in my life, and I reached out to her because she had turned me on to a musician, Naco and Medicine for the People. And I made a reference to one of his songs, and I wrote her and I said, "Brandon, you may not want to hear from me at all, but I'm thinking about you and sending you love. I loved you and I will always love you." And she wrote back, sweet. She says, apparently she's reevaluated what went on there. I don't know what's happened. But she says, "I hold no hard feelings for you, and I hope you don't towards me." And she had a nice heart on there, and we had a wonderful exchange. So that was one of the miracles of this Christmas season. Another miracle of this Christmas season is my stepbrother Dennis. When I was in El Diamante, and because I am a lot tougher than the average Mexican, I had a battle with the Don Miguel, the grandfather, over his nasty treatment of those 3 dogs. And we were toe to toe. And I confided to my stepbrother Dennis, who's been a big confidant of mine for the last couple of years. One of my my only remaining relative that I'm in any kind of contact with. And he's not a tough guy. He's a nice guy. And I didn't ask for advice about how to handle the thing with Miguel. I just confided that it was a dangerous point, because we were right in each other's faces about this dog thing. And Dennis took it as an opportunity to play alpha with me and give me unsolicited advice that I just apologized to him, because they had been awfully nice to me. I creamed him. He deserved it. I knew it was coming. I knew eventually he'd play alpha with me. And you don't do that with me. No. No man does that with me. No woman does that with me. You don't. No. So one of the ways I maintain peace in my life is solid boundaries. If people know they can't fuck with you, they cannot tell you what to do, I've been really clear about that. All of my good friends know that. They've all heard me say, don't tell me what to do. And if they persist in trying, they end up regretting it. So Dennis got caught in that. I blasted him, and I figured that was it for him. But he sent me a lovely Christmas message, and I sent him a lovely Christmas video, and it's good. We won't be friends, but we're family, and we love each other. El Diamante, my favorite person there was Alia, married to Miguel, 44, fabulous mother, fabulous business person, kept the restaurant running when her mom went up to Dallas. Alia and Miguel, her husband, had done a very heroic thing by sending their daughter off for her high school to be with an uncle or aunt in Dallas, knowing they may never see her again because they can't get green cards. They can't cross the border, and she'll have a hard time coming back. Heroic. So Alia, what a special person, and she has some English because she spent some of her early years in Houston, Dallas. I'm not sure, maybe Dallas. And we had so many battles because a lot of simple Mexicans, and she's kind of limited in her worldview because for a long time she's been in that 400-person pueblo, have a lot of crazy, irrational fears about the outside world. And we battled about that. She told me Martinez is dangerous, Little Vega is dangerous. We battled through the language barrier, which was tough. There was a lot of use of the Google Translator. And her husband pulled a nasty with me because his friend, the mechanic, had turned out to be a real slob in the way he ran his business. And he fucked with my car for big money, and I was mad. And Miguel, trying to be loyal to his friend, attacked me and said, we'll never know if maybe you fucked with the car by the way you drove it. And I creamed him. I really creamed him. Now, creaming in Mexico means I said, I'm furious with you over that bullshit. They're not fighting words because they're not going to fight, but it's the end of the relationship. But apparently not, because he dropped a comment on one of my videos the other day. And when this morning I sent a very sweet Spanish language video, which is rough for me, I scripted it, I wrote it out. I wrote part of it out. The parts I wrote out were, I will never forget you. I will always love all of you around that restaurant. And I listed the ones I would love forever. Alia, Miguel Angel, her husband, who I had blasted, Sarita, their niece, the server, and Maritza, my flame, kind of for a while, 22 server at the restaurant. And listing my most special people after those 4, I listed the 3 dogs. Yeah. Jason, Mufasa, who mostly hangs out around the restaurant, and Easy. And the other part I scripted from the Google Translator was, my Christmas wish that you, out of your love for me, would today pet Acaricias, one of those dogs. Because the hardest part about leaving El Diamante was that I feared they would never be touched again. And they all were dying for it. Oh my God, they were so attached to me. So a lot of beauty, a lot of sweetness, a lot of peace. My friend Lee helped me out again, as he has so often. My friend Norm in Chicago was a man of few words, and I really loved talking with him and his wife Nancy, but they don't. But they sent me $100 at a great time when I really, really needed it. And I'm actually walking down to Las Trancas, the Coppel store, which has been so great for loading Wi-Fi's and for, they have a bank as part of the store. It's been the great place for cashing my monthly check, etc. It'll be closed today, but the OXXO store, Norm sent me $100, Norm and Nancy, and I'll be able to cash that at the OXXO, which will be open. So I'll have money, because I was really, really, really broke. I had bus fare. When I'm really tired, I don't feel like walking back up this hill. When I'm duro, when I'm strong, fuerte, 16 minutes, boom, I'm up the hill. So I can do it. So all I had left was, I get my check on the 28th or the 29th, 3 or 4 or 5 days from now. All I had left was 9 pesos times 6. 6 bus fares back up the hill. That's all I had. 45 pesos. No, I have more than that. Ooh, look at this little bug. Oh, he's so pretty. I didn't get a picture of him. I love bugs. I love all the beings. I do love all the beings. And when their karmic loading is that it's time for them to get flattened so that maybe they'll wake up, I'm willing to be God's accomplice on that. That's a form of peace. Tough love. Okay. Feliz Navidad from Moctezuma Colonia, the poor person's barrio at the end of Quetzalcoatl Calle, the road down to Las Trancas, the big business section. Me, sin dogs, no dogs right now. Except the miracle of yesterday was that at Mario and Rubio's restaurant, their pop-up restaurant on the hillside, little DJ, who is their favorite dog, street dog who comes and gets handouts from the restaurant, and very fussy, who he allows to touch him. Their son Rubio gets to pet him on the head. That's the only place he allowed. He hadn't seen me for weeks. I knew he liked me because I was always sneaking him treats, but he never would let me touch him. Yesterday, 6 weeks after he had last seen me, he really wanted me to rub his head. A lot. Kept moving in, wanted more. So, if I've got a dog that I can pet, I would love to have a woman that I could pet. None this year. None this year. Oh yeah, you know, one reaching out that backfired. I sent a really sweet video to my last